Hi there! Welcome to Missionary Story Time. I'm glad you're here. Some of you I've known for years from Camp Good News or from Good News Club. Others of you I've never met. My name is Mrs. June, and each day I'm going to be telling you part of a story, so you'll have to come back to every episode to hear it all. Our story this year is called Until the Letter Came. It's not a true story. It was written by a lady who was a missionary nurse in Africa. She loved the Lord Jesus and she loved children, and so she wrote a lot of stories to try to help children and grown-ups to learn about Jesus and how much he loves us. This story, Until the Letter Came, is about Jesus' love, and it's about learning to forgive. I hope you enjoy it. It was 11 o'clock in the morning on the first day of May. Lucy was sitting out for their morning break on the playground with the other children in her kindergarten class. It was a beautiful day. They were having their milk and everything was happy. Until one of the kindergarten boys named Harvey spoke up in a loud voice. He said, "Lucy, why do you live with your gran and granddad? Why don't you live with your mommy and daddy like everybody else?" Lucy didn't like that question. So she just said, "Well, just because I do, Harvey." And then she said to him, "Wipe your mouth, you have a milk mustache." But Harvey wasn't finished. He said, "Well, you have to have a mommy and a daddy somewhere. Where are yours?" Lucy didn't know what to say. Some of the other children who were friends with Lucy thought they'd help, so the one girl said, "Maybe they're divorced, Harvey." And another one said, "Maybe they're dead." Now everybody was quiet. They all stared at Lucy. She started to feel all trembly inside, and tears came to her eyes. But she took a deep breath and felt relieved when the teacher walked up. But still Harvey wasn't finished. "Teacher, why does Lucy live with her grandparents? Why not with her mom and dad?" he asked, but the teacher stopped Harvey. And she looked at him and she said, "Harvey, you have a milk mustache. Wipe your face." And then she turned to Lucy. And with a smile and a soft voice, she said, "Lucy, if I had a gran and a granddad like you have, loving and kind like your grandparents are, I would consider myself a very lucky girl." "Now," she said to the class, "I have an announcement. We're not going right back in. We're going to take a nature walk. Let's look for as many wildflowers as we can find. After all, it's the first day of May." The children all cheered and they were happy and they forgot all about the conversation, except for Lucy. She thought about it all day. And she decided when she got home, got to the bus stop and Gran would be there, she would ask Gran all about this. And so she did. The bus pulled up to her regular bus stop, and there, sure enough, Gran was there, and Shadow, her big black lab, he was there too. She got off the bus and Shadow was happy to see her and wagging his tail and licking all around her, and Lucy patted him a bit. But she took Gran's hand as they began to walk toward the house, and right away she asked, "Gran, why do I live with you and Granddad? Didn't I ever have a mom and a daddy?" Gran was kind of surprised by this question, so it took her a minute to answer. But then she said, "Remember, Lucy, we've told you this. Your mother was our dear daughter. We loved her so much. And when she had you, we were so happy, but when you were just a baby, she died. And we took you right away into our home, and we have loved you as our own little girl, and we always will, Lucy." Lucy still wanted to know more. And she said, "But what about my daddy? Why doesn't he take care of me? Is he dead too?" Now this took Gran a little bit longer to answer. And when she gave an answer, she didn't seem very happy. She said, finally, "No, Lucy, he's not dead. But he left, and we've never seen him again. And Lucy, he was not a good man, so he couldn't take care of you. We love you, Lucy. You will always be with us. We will always take care of you. Now, she said, look, Granddad's sitting out on the front porch. He's waiting to greet you after school. Let's go. And so up the porch they went. And that conversation satisfied 5-year-old Lucy for now. But then the years came and went, and Gran and Granddad and Lucy, they were happy together. They were happy years. They loved each other. And things were going well. Until the summer when Lucy turned 12 years old. It was summer holiday. Most kids went on vacation, but Lucy and Gran and Granddad never really went on any vacations. They just sort of stayed around the home. But this summer, Lucy had joined the Girl Guides. It's something like our Girl Scouts. And the Girl Guides were going on a camping trip, and Lucy was able to go along. She went with her best friend, Mary. She loved it. It was a beautiful area where they were camping. There were hiking trails in the woods, and there were fields full of wildflowers. There was a river that they could swim in. They learned to build a campfire and even to cook supper on the campfire. And then at night in the tent with Mary, there was an opening that you could see straight through to the stars while you slept. Lucy loved it. And then the summer ended, and it was time for school to begin again. One day, 12-year-old Lucy was in her English class, and the English teacher wrote these words on the board: summer holiday. And she said to the class, I want you to say the first thing you think of when I say summer holiday. Mary? Well, Lucy's friend Mary said, ice cream. Oh, the class started to laugh, and the teacher said, okay, but I'm thinking of other things that you really love about your summer, maybe your summer vacation. Oh, the one student said, swimming in the ocean at the beach. And another one said, oh, we take our RV and we go around and we camp all different places. And still another student said, we toured all of Scotland in our car. Well, the teacher was busy writing all this on the board, and then she thought about, okay, who hasn't said something? And so she turned and she said, Lucy, what about you? Well, Lucy was quiet for a minute. They didn't take summer vacations. She didn't know what to say. She was kind of getting embarrassed. And then the teacher said, I think I heard you went to the Girl Guides camp. Oh, now Lucy had something to say. She had loved that camp. So she talked all about it, the river, hiking, cooking on the fire. She could have talked and talked, but then the bell rang for dismissal. The teacher said, hold on, I have an announcement. I want each of you to write a story about your summer, and then hand it in to me, and I'm going to judge them. We're going to have a contest, and I'm going to give a prize to the best story. Now, what I'm looking for is help me to get the feeling of your summer through your story. Lucy went out. She was excited. She loved to write stories. All the way home on the bus, she was thinking about it, and the bus stopped at her bus stop. She got off. She would walk the short distance to home. Usually when she got to the porch, she would shout out, Gran, I'm home. But this time she didn't say anything because she was thinking all about this story she would write. But she stopped at the screen door. She looked into the living room, and what she saw was Gran and Granddad. They were kind of huddled together, talking in quiet, serious voices. She got quiet and she listened from the porch. She heard Granddad say, but Elsie, she will have to know soon. After all, she is 12 years old. And he is her father. And then she heard Gran reply, no, not yet, not yet. There are still 2 years. Who knows what could happen in those 2 years? Lucy backed away. They were talking about her. And had she heard right? Were they talking about her father? Did they know something about him that she didn't know after all these years? She ran off the porch and around the side of the house, feeling like she needed to hide. But then Shadow realized she was home. He came bounding up, barking excitedly, and Lucy knew now everyone would know she was home. And so she went back up on the porch, and she walked into the living room just in time to see Gran slipping something into the desk drawer and closing it. Dinner that night was not the usual happy, cheerful time and talkative time that it usually was. No one seemed to have anything to talk about. Lucy didn't even say anything about the writing contest. And when supper was over, Gran said she didn't really need Lucy's help to clean up, and so Lucy went back out on the porch and sat in the shadow. All she could think about was what she had heard and seen. She needed to see that letter. What were they talking about? But she thought if she asked her grandparents, she thought they wouldn't tell her. And so she came up with an idea that made her heart pound fast. She was going to sneak and find that letter and read it. Now she knew very well what Gran would think of someone who read other people's mail. But she convinced herself it was okay by saying to herself, it kind of is my mail because it's about me and it's about my father. She decided her plan was she would go to bed early, wait until Gran and Granddad were sound asleep, go down into the living room and find that letter. So having made up her mind, she went back into the house and she said to her grandparents, I'm feeling kind of tired. I think I'm going to go to bed early. Well, Gran looked at Granddad and Granddad looked at Gran, and Gran came over and felt Lucy's forehead. She said, are you feeling all right, dear? It took Lucy a little while to convince Gran that she was just fine. But when she did, they allowed her to go off to bed. It seemed like forever until Lucy heard her grandparents making their way up to their bedroom. It seemed like so much longer until she was sure they were asleep because she heard Gran snoring. She waited a little longer. She slipped out of bed, down the hall, carefully down the steps to avoid the ones she knew made the noises, into the dark living room, across to the desk, and she slid open the desk drawer, and there it was, the letter. The first thing Lucy saw was the return address on the envelope. It said, The Royal Prison, Greening, England. Prison? Her father was in prison? Now she picked up the letter and she opened it and she began to read it. It said, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Ferguson, that was Gran and Granddad. At the time of my writing this letter, my time in prison will soon be coming to a close. I am writing about the guardianship of my daughter, Lucy. Just then Lucy heard a sound beside her. She had been reading so intently she hadn't noticed Granddad coming down the steps. And now as she turned, there he was, standing right beside her. Is he going to be angry? And what's going to happen when Gran finds out what she did? Her father was in prison? Why? Come back next time and we'll find out.